Uh, welcome to day two of our workshops hosted by Bermuda Boxing Federation. I am Nathan Deal. I am the president of Bermuda Boxing Federation, and we are excited to be having this conversation tonight. This is going to be recorded, so we hopefully will be able to share this platform for others so that they can make use of the resources and the tools and just the information we are going to provide tonight. I want to welcome each and every one of you. A special thank you for those who did join us last night. And I do know there were a little hiccups and a number of people who intended to join us last night were not able to get the link in time or were not able to get in. So we want to thank you. Just a real quick background. The reason why we were intent on hosting this type of workshop is when I was watching the Simone Biles situation unfold in the Olympics. And it really brought to light the pressure that our young athletes, our elite athletes are under. And I looked at, as I am an educator myself, I looked at the pressure that student athletes especially are under. I said, for me, my athletic journey started in my 20s. I was out of school and it was my recreation. It was my outlet. I was never in a high pressure environment. I put myself in a high pressure environment when it came to sport and full contact fighting, but I never had to deal with the going home and picking up my textbook and studying and then waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and going to training. So I really wanted to understand how these high performing athletes, how they operate, because as I said, for me, my athletics is a release space. If I want to have a bad day, my consequence is I get hit in the face. And, I move on based on that. So we are excited to have this workshop. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Earl. And again, Earl, we appreciate you for stepping in tonight and acting as moderator. And again, thank you and welcome everybody to the conversation of balancing academics and athletics.
Well, good evening and thank you very much, Nathan, for the introduction. Tonight we will be talking about balancing athletics and academics. My name is Earl Basden. I'm the owner and operator of islandstats.com. I have with me some presenters this evening, and I want them to introduce themselves just by telling everyone a little bit about themselves and what they do. And then we'll get right into it, because I think tonight's conversation will be just as important as the one we had last night, if not even better, because we're going to actually hear from 3 student athletes who have who are currently going through what Nathan was describing. So let's start off with John Olhauser from Crandall University.
Thank you, Earl. And I was going to share something, but it's not going there, so that's fine. I'll just go without. As Earl mentioned, I am from Crandall University. I serve there as the Vice President of Academics and the institution's provost. I also serve there as the head boxing coach. We have a unique boxing program. We're the only boxing program, varsity university boxing program in Canada. I have a PhD in communicating, in rhetoric, which is the study of persuasion and how politicians, lawyers, business people will use communication to have people vote for them or buy their product or whatever they're trying to convince them of. I've been a political speechwriter for a number of years in Canada. In fact, I wrote for the person who was in the National Parliament as the opposition leader. But my heart is really in academics. I've been there since 1995 officially as a faculty member and now as an administrator. And I am glad to be here tonight. I'm a husband of 1 and a father of 7 kids. So I've also done my time with kids.
Okay, all right. Angela Young from Kick System.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for having me. So my journey is a little interesting. While I have my master's in marketing, I launched this business as a result of helping my daughter transition from public school to private school. And I had to basically develop tools to help her be organized. So kids control systems is what I've done in the past 8 years. I've helped over 300 students, and my mission is basically to inspire students to aspire for greatness. And so tonight I'll be talking about how we actually find that balance between academics and the sports.
Sure. Latisha Lister-Burgess from EPA Bermuda. EAP Bermuda.
No worries.
EAP.
So I'm the executive director at EAP Bermuda, and we provide counseling and support for families who are with our member companies. And the reason I am so passionate about this is because mental health matters. And whenever we're talking about students, whenever we're talking about the pressures that they're facing, we often focus on the physical part, sometimes even the academic part and the social part, but we forget about the pressures and what that does to people's mental health. And so I just wanted to be a part of that conversation and focus the spotlight on how we can truly support our children.
Sure. And one of the student athletes, Adrian Roach.
Evening, everybody. My name is Adrian Roach. I'm 19 years old. I represent Bermuda on the national boxing team, as well as represent Crandall University's varsity boxing program. Currently, I'm enrolled in Crandall University studying a Bachelor of Arts in Kinesiology, and hopes to go to be a physiotherapist as well as a professional boxer.
Sure. Jediah, Cumbermack.
Good evening, everyone. I'm 15. I go Cedar Ridge. I want to become a professional motorcycle racer. I'm currently racing for BMRA and 2B Motorsports, which is my team. I'm planning to go away to go NATC. It's a North American Talent Cup for me. I hope I do good in it, because if I do, then I'll be put in like a pro class, pro class for the following year. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Okay. And last but not least, Dominique Brown.
Good afternoon. I'm Dominique Brown. I am 15 years old. I am currently enrolled in Cedar Ridge Academy. Right now, I am doing karate, as I have been for 11 years. I'm also doing volleyball as well. I am on the national squad for football, and I play as a goalkeeper. I'm looking to go on with my life as computer science and tech and do IT and things revolving around that, programming, building tech, and even fashion designing. And I also love acting and singing. It is very much like things that I love to do in my spare time, creating music, writing stuff. And yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I really want to start off with Latisha, because it's important that we discuss that mental part. You talked about the EAP. A lot of people forget about the mental part of sport and life, because we go through sport, we go through work, we go through life, and the mental capacity is that triangle that Nathan had up prior to us starting. It all encompasses in that. So talk us a bit through that part of what it is that you guys do to help harness and control people, not control people, but help people to control themselves through that mental health.
So I'm glad you are talking about that. When we're trying to be at our peak, when we're trying to be the best in the sport, when we're trying to be the best student we can be, when I heard Dominique just now say that she does like 3-4 different sports, she's a singer, she's an actor, like there's so many things. And so we're trying to excel on all fronts. But the reality is that puts us at risk for burnout, because we can't do everything for excellence. And so a lot of the times what we talk about is figuring out not just the time management piece of how much time you have available for things, but the emotional time management piece as well. We only have so much emotional energy to give in so many directions. And so we, especially the younger we are, the more we're determined to do all of those things, and we can burn ourselves out really quickly. The other thing is also looking at, for long term, I was fascinated to hear some of them talking about, okay, how do I take this love for sports and turn it into a career, which is great. Because sometimes I think some people look at the situation and think, oh, okay, I'm going to be the next Michael Jordan. Well, as we all know, there's only one Michael Jordan. And for many people, where they run the risk of the mental health issue is when they don't turn pro. So they've spent their whole life, they spent 16, 17, 18 years doing football for their whole life, boxing for their whole life, karate for their whole life. And then they don't get to the space of being an elite performer on that international stage. And so sometimes people really crumble under that thinking, I've done this for so many years. Why isn't it paying off? And so one of the things we often want to talk to people about is go after the passion and do the thing that is you're passionate about and being engaged in it, but not necessarily giving yourself that comparison next to other people, because that's what makes people more likely to burn out. So when it comes to your mental health, it's really looking at those three parts: the emotional time management. What do you have the room for? Because we all can't do everything well. Always chasing your passion, and then figuring out what your particular end goal is going to be instead of comparing yourself to other people, and being willing to walk away when it's too much. This last year, Simone Biles said, I can't. And we had to respect that. And it was great for her. Naomi Osaka said, I'm not going to put myself in that position. And so if nothing else, what I'm finding fascinating about the world of sports are people starting to realize that the sport itself doesn't define them, and that their career and their goals can't be superseded by their mental health needs.
Well, before I get to Angela, I want to ask John Olhauser, because as an educator and a coach, it's an interesting balance of trying to get the athlete and the student to ensure that you're getting the maximum out of both to succeed in life.
Yeah, I mean, I've written down a number of ideas here, Earl, on that, and I don't know which one I want to cherry pick to start with. I think to begin with, as you have your ambitions in both capacities, as a student and as an athlete, you really are best served if you find the place where you can be supported with both. I know many athletes who have a love for a particular sport, but they know they need to also pursue their education. And so they enroll in the local school that doesn't really excel or doesn't offer their sport, but they retain their participation in their sport through another agency or another organization. And so they're going to school with one group, and then they're pursuing their interests in the sport with another. But the two really aren't in sync with each other. The school isn't really recognizing the sport aspiration, and the sport aspiration really isn't recognizing the academic aspiration. And for an athlete, I think they've got to, I would advise them, is find that place where the institution at whatever level it is, university degree or college diploma, whatever that is, that recognizes what you're trying to accomplish in sports. For example, I have to be careful what I say because one of my athletes is on the line here tonight. But he'll check and verify whether I'm saying things are true. But he is pursuing his athletic interests and goals, and one of those is to go to Ecuador here at the end of March. Well, to leave the campus for 2 weeks and to leave your courses and your assignments, most institutions would say, well, you know what, go ahead and go, but you're going to pay the penalty. But because he's an athlete at the university that has the sport and is recognizing that, the university is working with him to work around his schedule to make sure he succeeds academically, but also athletically. And so, I mean, the tough thing is to say, I want to pursue this particular sport, but I can't find a university or a place that offers that as a university sport. Well, that's hard to continue both. But if you can find both, that's the starting point where you're supported both athletically and academically.
Sure. And before I get to the student athletes, because it's going to be important to hear from from you student athletes about how you're managing your time in both sport and recreational activities as well as sports. Okay. So Angela, as a parent, you said you started Kicks as a parent because you were trying to help your daughter. So take us through the Kicks system as well as what it was like for you during that transformation time. You got to unmute. There you go.
Sure. For me, my daughter, as tall as she is, she's almost 6 feet. She's not the athlete, so don't have any dreams about that happening.
Netball.
Not even that. Oh my gosh. For me as a parent, it was definitely M1. And so I noticed that BHS, for those athletes like myself, we had the 6-day cycle. I noticed with her, she was putting things in her planner the upcoming week and not the week that she was in. So that was a red flag for me. A lot of times it was missing the deadlines. There were tons of demerits. As a matter of fact, she had 61 demerits at the end of M1. Yeah. And so I was always driving from my house because she'd got an assignment and going to school at 9 o'clock at night, praying that somebody was going to let us in, or dashing to the bus terminal to find her lost, her gym bag or something like that. So it was very much frantic for us. And then I had her assessed and learned that she had ADHD, clinically mild. And also as a parent, I knew I had to change my style and understand that she was not quickly grasping things. Her executive function needed help with that. Just to talk about that for a minute, those students or people, period, may learn how to basically plan and develop their own strategies. But with someone who doesn't have or has weak executive functioning skills, that is definitely a challenge. And so I created tools to help her. And then I realized I wasn't alone. And so it ended up starting a business. And again, 8 years, 300 students later. And I have a couple of students right now who are on D1 full scholarship at University for football, a couple that have gone to Japan for the IB programs. I have another one doing basketball. So yeah, it's been pretty exciting. It was a very stressful time, but I've learned a lot through that experience. And now I'm helping parents to find their way through it as well. And I keep telling parents to celebrate the small wins. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But if we just keep encouraging them, they will get there. And in Cameron's case, I mean, she's in university right now, pursuing biomedical engineering. She's had 2 scholarships, $30,000 for all of them. So she's doing quite well. Not the student that had 61 demerits, but now we're doing pretty good.
And you have a presentation of sorts. Can you take us through your presentation?
Okay, sure. I do apologize because I thought that was going to be it. So it's about, say 10 minutes. I'll keep it short though. But I just wanted to, walk everyone through that process.
Do you need time?
I need to be co-host. No, they haven't made me co-host. So I can share my screen. Okay. Oh, I have it now. Thank you. Skip to this. I'll skip to this. Put that already. So I wanted to share what a coach had said to me last week. He had 2 players that announced to him on last week Sunday they couldn't play because they had tests to study for. The interesting thing is that I'm sure those 2 students felt pretty proud that they were able to share, of being responsible and say, I can't do this right now because I have tests. But the reality of it is this. The coach was very frustrated, and to the point he was like, I can't work with that. And what am I supposed to do with that? Scholars are looking for the well-rounded student, the one that can manage the frenzy. And here I have 2 students that are struggling here in Bermuda. Why would I recommend them to go overseas and they can't handle that pressure? For students, the number one challenge for students, whether they're athletes or not, is time management. And as one quote is, own time or time will own you. Students and time management. Many students struggle with procrastination. These are stats here. Those who do not and actually submit their things earlier tend to get A's or B's. That's about 76%. Those who are procrastinating, waiting to the last minute, they're cramming, they tend to get A or B, but it's, again, last minute. So many of them feel that they are afraid to fail. Main indicators for academic procrastination, and irregular sleep pattern. I think that's also very important for athletes, poor quality of sleep, and high stress levels. But here, basically, again, with kids control systems, it's being in control, planning, putting things in order. Student athletes need to be able to do this around their training, and it reduces their stress levels. I was reading an article also preparing for this. Many of the top athletes said that sleep and recovery is very key for them. And again, many scholars and coaches are looking for that student who is well-rounded. Now, I developed these tools to help my daughter, and that's why I launched Kicks. And the students I have helped, they work. These are lifelong skills, and they're still using them today. Being intentional and being in control of your environment and workload helps you to avoid stresses in the future. As athletes, you train for your sports and look at your strengths and the weaknesses you need to work on. It's also the same for your brain. You can train your brain to be in more control of what you need to do. Think of the executive skills as a muscle. The more tools you put in your arsenal, then the more you can apply it as you need it. So basically, you're training your brain. 7 tips for student athletes. Prioritize your practice. Use a planner or calendar. Complete assignments in chronological order. Begin studying in advance. Avoid procrastination. Don't take on too many responsibilities. And again, maintain a consistent sleep schedule because that's important for your recovery as well. Time management, again, is a life skill. And for those parents who are looking for tools, I just want to share that I have launched a digital note-taking workshop. I found that many students may have the apps, but they don't know how to maximize them. And so for those students who are using the apps, we would teach you how to do that. My daughter actually teaches this class. They'll be starting this weekend, so I just wanted to share that. And there is a special offer that expires tomorrow. And I love this quote from Serena Williams. I'm admitting people, by the way. Nothing is difficult if one engages in good time management. So those are my final thoughts. That's all I really want to share. And I'm open to answer any questions from parents as well as students. So thank you.
Sure. There was a diagram, and I'm now going to speak with the young people. There was a diagram, the second picture, I believe, that Ms. Young showed, where there was a balance of books and sports. And can someone mute, please? Someone please mute. Okay, thank you. For the students themselves, Adrian, I'll start with you because at a university, sometimes this photo here would seem like, your life at the beginning. Did you feel strain and stress when you first started Crandall University and trying to manage boxing, books, life? How did you adjust to that?
So just for starters, I'd have to say I agree wholeheartedly with the presentation that was just shared to us. First starting at Crandall University, the first few months, I'm balancing everything, training, school, and everything was new to me. Because usually, you have your parents behind you to be like, hey, pick up on this, pick up on that. In high school, your parents have access to all your grading, all your everything, report cards. In college, it's not like that. You have to be accountable for yourself. You have to look at all your syllabus information. You have to look at all your due dates, and you have to get everything done yourself. But at the end of the year, your report card doesn't get sent to your parents; it gets sent back to you. So you have to take a lot of responsibility with that, and that comes with a lot of you have to be a responsible person. I would say 3 things that helped me achieve balance in school and sporting would be consistency, discipline, and sacrifice. For consistency, you just got to be consistent day in, day out. With your routine, you have to develop a routine. You have to be able to sometimes I have so many alarms set just for different times because, you know, you can't remember everything at once. And so you have to be consistent if your schedule. You don't want to change it up too much, or else, you know, that's when you're going to start feeling overwhelmed with everything. You know, you want to set aside times to study and stick to those times. So even if you don't feel like studying, or like you don't feel like getting some schoolwork done, you have to, because like my coach had mentioned earlier before, I'm looking to go to Ecuador. So I had to sacrifice some time and set aside periods of the day where I would, you know, do extra work so I could get ahead, so I could go do my best and compete before having things lingering in the back of my mind. As a sacrifice, you have to sacrifice a lot of things with being a student athlete as well as being a student. So like, you know, it's certain things, like little things, like even your bedtime. Like, you know, I go to bed 9:30 nights now, and like, you know, it's like, wow, because at such an early time, especially for somebody my age, you know, a lot of things are going on way beyond 9:30. You know, your friends want to talk. You know, you got like relationships, things like that, and you know, it's a sacrifice, but it's all for a greater goal in the end, and things like that. So, you know, you have to learn how to sacrifice. You have to learn how to tell people no. You have to learn how to say, like, cut a conversation short and be like, yo, I got to go to bed so I can be up 5:30 in the morning to get back to training, get to schoolwork, everything like that. You got to learn how to do the hard things in life. And discipline. You know, you got to be disciplined with your sleep schedule. Got to be disciplined with your diet. Got to be disciplined with your training, schoolwork. Discipline is a very big part in boxing, especially because, you know, if you're not disciplined and you're not focused on everything that you have to do, because everything's a whole, everything works together with each other. If you're not disciplined, then you could get hurt very badly, and you know, it could not only just affect your future career, but it could affect your life for like, you know, until you pass. So, you know, you definitely want to make sure that you're disciplined in everything that you do and things like that. So, like, there's my 3 key aspects, or the 3 key tips into becoming the best student athlete that you can be. Just, you know, staying consistent with everything you do, your schedule, your training, sacrificing and learning how to sacrifice, and staying disciplined.
Wow, I'm impressed, young man. I am thoroughly impressed, and just by the commitment you've made for your progress, I think the other youngsters on here would have learned something as well. But Dominique, for you, how do you balance? Because you have this creative design that you want to do. You also do football. You're doing martial arts, and you want to succeed, not just in sport, but outside of sport. So how are you balancing your life right now, and in hopes of being able to balance it as you move forward?
I mean, right now, I'm not doing as well as I would hope to be. Definitely. I'm not gonna lie. Evan Deal's giving me the look like, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I am improving and I'm getting back, but my mindset had definitely dropped off to where it wasn't that I didn't care. It's just that I struggled. And everything that I did was like, if you don't do it this way, that way, this time, in this place, it's not going to work out. It's not going to be perfect. It's like everything was just coming in all at once. I was overthinking everything, procrastinating myself, pushing things to a later date. Like, no, I could do this first. Oh, no, I have more time. Turning in things like an hour before, not at all. And it messed me up completely. I mean, I'm getting back and my grades are coming back up, but I did have a point where they dropped. And I had to be like, okay, yeah, it's not going to work out, especially because sports are going away. I'm not going to be able to go. And they're looking at me. It's like, got to buckle up. And now I'm going to work. I'm going to work like double time to get that back. I lost a lot of sleep. Still losing a lot of sleep. Going to sleep like 12, 1 a.m. sometimes, 5 a.m., not even getting sleep at all. Showing up to school the next day, half day, sleeping through class. Anyways, but yeah, it's like messing up. And like, my teachers even saw that change and worried them because they were like, you're not usually like that. You're on your work, you're on it. You turn in stuff early. Well, even if you do turn in an hour late, it's like, you told us like you're on it. And for that had happened, and even like shocked me, my whole family was just like, this is not you. So I'm trying, like, I'm going to work to get back on it, because it was like, it messed me up. Definitely. Especially when my school started overworking myself, missed a couple weeks in school. Yes, like, it messed me up completely. I mean, I'm getting back to balancing, trying to get myself on a proper sleep schedule, get like my mindset back where I was, where it was just like work. You got to get this done. Work comes first. Sports as well, time management. Before I go to sports, try to get this work done. When I get back home, finish off my homework, study, straight to bed. Like, I had to like work to get myself back on that mindset. Especially, it was hard to keep myself on a schedule already as it is, because once I break it once, I can't get back on it from just bad habits that you picked up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Before I go to Jediah, Latisha, hearing Dominique speak like this, what would be one of the first things you would help her address in a bid to help?
Thank you for asking, because the whole time you're talking, I was like, oh, the first thing I think is I feel so much pressure from you right now, trying to keep all of those balls up in the air. And one of the things we start by talking to people about is two things. One, where's that pressure coming from? Like, is that internal pressure? Is that external pressure? And understanding that first, because sometimes a lot of the pressure that we put on ourselves is just us. No one else has those expectations except us. And then the other part is, again, looking at, with that feeling of I'm not holding it together, that feeling of maybe I'm failing, that is overwhelming as well. And so it's really important to kind of take away that guilt, because guilt keeps us stuck. Take away that shame, because then that has us kind of feeling like we're chasing ourselves, and really just trying to focus on, okay, what happened where I started to get derailed? Like, what was happening for me? What was the trigger? What was the event? What was, the thing that was happening in my life? Was there just one too many things for me to manage? And so once we can figure out where the train went off the track, we can kind of help put it back on the track. And also sometimes realize, maybe I don't even want to be on this train, And so I think it's really great how open and honest you were, because you're not the only person who's felt like this. And again, just not feeling that sense of pressure that you have to keep it all together, but maybe starting to evaluate what is actually, coming back to my first point, what's doable? I think sometimes with people when they juggle balls, and if you think about it, there's a max number you can have up in the air before they all fall down. And sometimes we just have too many balls up in the air.
And John, from an educator standpoint, hearing someone like Dominique, you've obviously had students that you would have seen would have been doing well, and then all of a sudden they're struggling. How do you manage that as an educator?
Well, let me first of all tell Dominique, I also, as a young person, and then all the way through my education, had my fingers in so many different interests, and I was spread all over, and they were all good, and I loved all of them. When I was doing my PhD advisor half-heartedly said to me, he said, John, he said, maybe you need to have part of your brain put to sleep for a little while. And, and really, because you've got too many interests. And we all have to make those decisions, but, they're all good things. But, finding those things that we know we can do well, and then come back to the other things later in life. When we've done all we can with the things that are immediately in front of us, knowing that for me to walk away from one thing doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It's just, okay, that'll come back to later in life. It's, when I was a student in the 80s, I sort of look today at what exists for helping students. In some respects, I jealously say, well, we're just giving away education now. There's so many helps compared to the way it was in the 80s. Because, mental health is a huge thing, and all universities have all kinds of supports. And oftentimes students, I don't know if it's because they don't know that the helps are there, or if there's a stigma maybe at times to say, well, I better not go and use that help, because that might, illustrate that I might have a weakness or something that, no. I mean, we recognize the value in all of these helps and we provide them for the students. And so we take full advantage, get to know all of the support systems that are there in your educational level and take full advantage of them. Don't be embarrassed to take the helps, to be a part of the study groups, to get the tutoring connections, to find all of the supports from counseling and mental health. Use them. They're there for you to help you succeed. And don't be embarrassed and shy away from them.
Sure. Jediah, let me ask you, how are you managing all this, the work, you have these overseas trips coming up, you want to really do well, but you also got the pressure of doing the schoolwork as well. So how are you managing?
So the first thing I do to manage my time is I try to get all my work done. So when I come home, my mom won't have to worry about me having to do my work already. So, and also I like to stay out of trouble in school. So even if I have bad friends around, bad influences, I don't pay attention to any of that because I need to get my work done. And I hope that I get to an ATC, so I wouldn't have to do no summer school or nothing like that, because I don't want to do that, because I have to. It's a big trip that's coming up, because I really want to get my work done and stuff. But also, I like managing my workout time, keeping me in the right mindset for working out. Because sometimes when I get home, I don't feel like working out because I'm tired from school and stuff. So yeah, I'm just been working on that, and I'm also working on eating healthy, like having a good diet, so that I'll be fit for the race. Because I'm gonna be doing like how much, like 30 laps, 15 laps around like a huge track. Because here we only have like, let's say like 50 meters in the straight. Out there they have like 500 meters in the straight. So I think it's gonna be really hard for me if I don't practice now and start to do my work now. So yeah, I'm just trying to keep my mindset in the right state, so I'll be good when I go out there.
Sure, great. Adrian, I know you have to go, but can you just quickly give us what a day for training and school would look like for you?
Yeah, for sure. So for school, I think my busiest days would be like a Monday. So every day I wake up 5:30. I get to the gym for 6 o'clock, and do your morning cardio, either treadmill or work on your bags a little bit, things like that. That workout usually takes maybe an hour to an hour and a half. After that, you go shower, eat your breakfast, and then go off to your first morning class. Morning class is hour 15 minutes. So you go to that class. You have to have the right diet to be able to concentrate in your classes. So if you're not eating enough, and if you're not eating the right things, then you won't have the energy to be up. Because if you work out hard in the mornings, and you wake up really early and you work out super hard and you don't feel your body, then you won't have any sort of capacity to concentrate anything in class. So it's important to have proper sleep and proper diet. But then, getting back to my schedule after my morning class, usually I come back to the apartment. I can get a little bit of work done while I'm still in a studying frame of mind. Then, you also have to put aside time to yourself. One of the speakers was saying that mental health is very important. If you don't put aside time for yourself, then, you will find yourself slipping up and, getting in those dark spaces or even depressed at times. And speaking on seeking help, I'll be the first one to say, even as a boxer, somebody who appears to the public eye, that has to be very strong. I'll be the first to say that I have sought out therapy before, because times get hard, and it's important to know that, as a young male, as a young athlete, even in a contact sport, in a rough sport like that, it's okay to seek out things like that. So, setting aside time for yourself is very important. I'll get my lunch around 12:30, 1 o'clock. Go to my afternoon classes. which, they don't take too long. They're either between 1 o'clock and 2:15 or 2:45 and 4 o'clock. So after those classes conclude, if I had space in between those, I might hit a second workout throughout the midday, and then towards the evening we have team training. So depending on what my schedule's like, I'll get 2 to 3 trainings in per day, and then I get back to the apartment, refuel, get my dinner, and then maybe watch a little bit of TV if I have no schoolwork and do the next day, and then I'm in bed by 9:30. You got to shower, everything like that. And you're in bed by 9:30, back at it again, 5:30 in the morning. You want to get your sleep in. So it's very important.
Well, the coach and the educator's listening with a smile on his face. So obviously he agrees with what you're saying.
Yeah, Coach Oz, he makes it, I have to give a lot of credit to him. He makes it very easy for us as student athletes. If I need things, simple things like something printed, he's got it. If I ain't got the time to do something, he's got it. I can forward him things, like ask him questions. He makes himself very available to help us. And, so I have to give a lot of credit to Coach O, because he's been a big help in navigating the new life of being a student athlete.
Sure. Latisha, I wanted to come to you. I see that you want to make a comment, but I want to come to you because this young man has impressed me so much. But again, being honest, that times do get hard, and as a young man, you seek help. So you go ahead with your comment.
So I was just going to say thank you so much for even saying that, because one of the things that I'm noticing about this younger generation, and I feel old saying younger generation, but they're so much more transparent about saying, I need some support, I'm going to get therapy. And that is so amazing. And what he's also doing is creating a space for someone else to hear this and go, oh, he's a big guy in his field, he seems really cool and it's not embarrassing for him. Okay, that normalizes it for me. And so one, I think it's amazing that you're doing it, but the more we talk about this and normalize this conversation, we're stripping out that stigma. And so I always say the same way we check in with our body. Everyone so far has talked about their diet, their sleep, their exercise. The same way we take care of our body, we got to take care of our mind, so they're all connected. So the same way once a year, you're getting for your physical, at least once a year, come in and get a mental health checkup, talk to a therapist. So I'm just loving this. I'm just loving this whole conversation.
Mm-hmm. And John, in the school, you were talking about the universities offer these type of assistance to student athletes. But what about the teacher that there's a person that's actually teaching the boxing, the courses, or how are you handling that? Because it's also good to know that the adult still also needs help at times, because you're dealing with so many different facets of life when you've got 12 boxers or you've got 24 students in a classroom. You're dealing with so many different things.
Yeah, Adrian spoke about the need to have your own time, and we've had to be. I have to be deliberate to put that in. Adrian talks about getting up at 5:30 to train. That's when his feet hit the floor. Our buildings aren't open until 7, but I have a card, and I let the guys in at 6. But we don't do team training then. That's my time, and my therapy. Part of my therapy is that own personal workout time. And so, I let the guys in and I say, okay, you go do your thing. I'm doing mine. Don't bug me. And so, you need that. And of course, we've got the same helps for our employees and staff at the university as well on the counseling side and the support side. And we encourage all of our employees to take full advantage of that.
Sure. And I'm coming back to you, Angela. I want to talk a little bit about as a parent, because you had to change your mental way of doing things and the physical way of doing things to assist your daughter. But making that change, were you looking to make the change collectively together, or were you making sure that you understood what you were changing in order to help your daughter?
Yes, absolutely. I remember when I had her overseas in Baltimore for Candy Krieger, and they gave the assessment that she had ADHD clinically mild. We went back to the hotel and she had a meltdown. And she was like, I'm not like them, because she saw the other students. And so we had to have a very frank, candid conversation. And when we went through that, I said, now it has a name. You know, when I gave you 5 things to do, let's be honest, it went over your head. It was the deer in the headlights. You just went blank. Now we have a name for it. And I said to Cameron, trust me, I'll get you through it. So I knew at that point I had to be the steady one for her, because only her and I. And I had to change my attitude and approach, recognizing that these are some of her challenges, and she's only 12. And I have to help her to navigate through this. So when I talk to parents and they're getting hyped and they're getting excited and they're frustrated, I'm like, I've been there. I know this is all perfectly normal. But at the end of the day, we as parents have to be strong for them. And I tell my clients, strong parents produce strong students.
No, actually, I'm going to go back to the students now, because I want you to describe a busy day for you. We've gotten Adrian. So let Jediah take us through a busy day, school, training, homework, all of that, so we can get an idea of what you're up against on a regular basis through a day of life.
Well, for me, I have class all day, so I get a little tired between some of the classes. But after all the classes are done, I try to go home and study for like whatever I need help with, or whatever, or like what I don't understand. So yeah, I just like to study for stuff that I don't know too much about. I like to learn new things, like learn new subjects that I don't know what to really think about. So I think I do a lot with working on my school time and my schoolwork. When I get home, try to do everything before like my for my school. So afterwards, I do my exercising like I normally do. After my exercising, I like to do stretches to loosen up my body and stuff. And after that, I eat dinner. Then I get a bath, and then I get ready for school tomorrow and do the same procedure all over again.
Sure. Dominique, can you give us a brief of your day that includes training? And
of course. So yeah, waking up like 6:30 a.m. Well, 5 actually. So maybe if I feel like it, if I don't fall back asleep in 2.5 seconds, get up, punch the bag for a little bit, do a little workout, get my mind right. Then I will go to school. I have classes all day, as Jediah said. We have classes all day, so we're busy all day. So I'll go home, and I have 30 minutes before I go to my school to get to like kick off, like start off some work, anything, or like sort out what I'm gonna do when I get back home. Then I would go to football and then volleyball after that, and I'll be getting home like 8:30 to go work, get my bath, and go sleep around 12, depending on what time I finish my work or study. Yeah.
You've taken on a lot as a young person. Obviously, one of the things you talked about, Angela, was that sleep, and I'm pretty sure Latisha would have something to say as well. But just I would encourage you to balance it out. Make sure that you are doing everything possible to make sure that you take care of yourself. But Angela, looking at it and just going through the stats that you had up earlier, how would you recommend Dominique help herself in certain areas?
Sure. I agree, Latisha. I think you may have to do an audit of where things are with you right now, Dominique. I feel your pain. You may have to let some things go. You may have to say no. I also want to encourage you to have a network, create a team. Team Dominique is going to help you through this, allow you to, yes, find the balance. I think that's also was part of the process. But I think just taking an audit, what really is important for you right now. I'm saying this because I have a couple of students that I've been asked to help, and they're graduating in a couple of months, and their grades are really poor, and they have these big dreams. So it's definitely, it can be exhausting, and it can be discouraging. So I want you to find a team, Dominique, that help you get through this. And again, I really want you to think about, do I really need to do all of these programs? I mean, my daughter's also equally talented, more in her Spanish and coding and all the rest of it. So she juggles a lot. So I understand that. But you have to find a point where it's like, hey, what do I really want to focus on right now on this journey? I think that's what you have to do. I would recommend that.
Sure. John, from a coaching standpoint, you see athletes. Let's talk a little bit and utilize the scenario of Dominique, not Dominique herself, but the scenario of Dominique. You would have athletes who take on a lot. And how do you find, or what advice would you give them, especially for a healthy balance? We're talking about mental health and physical health. So we're talking about a balance of health. How do you advise them, or where do you point them in the direction that they can seek help for that balance?
Well, first of all, Earl, many students have the understanding, and it's true, that a university degree or college degree is, a 4-year commitment. And they come in with that mindset to say, okay, I'm 18 now, I'll be graduating when I'm 22. Well, the whole university system has the eligibility recognition that you're eligible for 4 years. But in order to assist a student, they've got the red shirt year, so that you come in with the understanding that, oh, I'm not really on a 4-year journey, I'm on a 5-year journey here. And it's designed to recognize that, the athletic commitment, you're training, and then you're competing. And if it's not a home game, you're traveling and you're on the road. And so the whole weekend shot, you're going to be, reading on the bus or whatever you were getting to the opposing venue. But it's tough to get everything done on a 4-year journey. And so I like to encourage, and I know Adrian's carrying a 5-course semester now, but I think he's looking seriously at something that might be more of a 4-course load into the future, to say, okay, I can do something in the summer. I can pick up one of the courses that I may have given up if I want to continue on that 4-year. But maybe I want to be realistic and say my degree is a 5-year degree, and take a 20% reduction in my course load, which still qualifies you as a full-time student at 4 instead of 5 courses. But it's a way to manage, I think, better to get the grades you want to get, but also get the success in the sport that you want to get.
Sure. Latisha, can you give us just some mental balance tips from the EAP side?
So a couple of things. I definitely was someone who, a few years ago, if you had talked to me about breathing exercises or, that kind of stuff, I was like, no. And then I really started doing it just even for myself, and it was life-changing. So you don't have to have money for some of this. Like Calm has an app, Headspace has an app. Even for myself, as I'm going through my day, if I get that email that knocks me off guard, I take a moment and I have this wonderful one that I love, and it's 2 minutes long, and all I need is 2 minutes to just reset myself. When Adrian was talking about finding a moment for yourself, sometimes it's also finding a peace break for yourself, and so I really believe in breathing exercises. I really believe in making sure you get proper sleep. The brain does not do well when we don't get that constant REM sleep, that restorative sleep that, I hear a lot of people talk about, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or that rise and grind culture, or, I'll sleep on the weekend. And I'm like, it's not real over data. we can't just catch up that way. And so we have to commit to investing in ourselves that way because we literally need it. And then the other part of it is, journaling, write down, checking where your moods are. When he was talking about, sometimes it can take you to dark spaces. It can if you feel like you have no one to talk to, no one to check in with. And sometimes just checking in with yourself, you can start to track those patterns. I was working with a young man once, and, it was just simple. We would have him rank from 0 to 10 where his mood was that day and anything that was unusual about his day. And we did that for 4 weeks, and he started to notice, wait, I'm always having really low moods on Tuesdays. And so we started to be focused. Well, what's happening for you on a Tuesday? So by just a simple thing of being able to check in with yourself helps you to know maybe where you need to refocus. So Dominique, maybe it's not, I get rid of everything. It's, hey, I look and realize here's these 7 things. But when I do soccer that day, I feel really excited. Okay, keep that one. When I'm looking at all these things, what are the 2s? I always think of that. Like a few years ago, one of my professors said to me, and it really resonated, trying to go for all the good means you don't have room for excellent. And so when you look at one of the biggest things I always say when it comes to mental health, when you look across all the things in your life, what brings you joy and what are your 9s? And then flush out the 2s. So we can't do everything. Aim for your 9s, aim for your passion, aim for your excellence. And then when, John said, when you have a different point in your life, you can come back and pick up some of those 2s if they're still resonating for you and if you want to make them a 9.
Sure. John, let me come back to you, especially for what coaches look for in future students and parents as well, because it's an investment with parents and students. Because as Adrian had indicated, when he was in Bermuda, obviously he had his parents there behind him, and I'm pretty sure Dominique and Jediah had the same thing. But when you go to university or college, or it's independence now. So what advice do you have for the student athlete and the parent, in making that step and making that move and ensuring that they have the tools needed that they can get help if and when they need it?
I think for the parents and for the student athlete, you need to have confidence that, the whole system, the college, the university that you choose. So not just the coach, but the academic system and the institution is there for your benefit. They want to see you succeed. I think there can be situations where it's a coach who says, I want to see how far I can go as a coach, and I'm going to use my student athletes to see how far I can go on that. Well, to me, that's a real caution flag. If you get that sense in talking with a coach, you really want to talk to that coach to say, okay, what are you in this for? What are you going to do with my young person? And as an athlete can ask that question, what are you going to do with me? What kind of decisions are you going to make? Are you making decisions for your benefit as a university? Because athletics for a university is big money. And it's prestige, and it's you get recognized for success that you have in whatever sport it is. So to discern and get a commitment and a strong sense of confidence that the institution that you're going to and the coaching staff that you're putting yourself under are really committed to seeing you succeed and to see your goals achieved. To me, that is so important. If that is not there, you can set yourself up for a lot of disappointment and a lot of frustration.
Sure. I have a question, and it's what's the role of the parent and coach in helping student athletes to optimal fitness, health performance, and mental health? I'm not sure if you can answer that, or Angela in your capacity can answer that. But what is the role of the parent and the coach in helping the student athlete to have the optimal fitness, health, performance, and mental health?
Yeah, I'll just say they should be a cheerleader, right? Okay. Honestly, they should be the cheerleader. They should have confidence that all of the systems are in place for that student to succeed. And so when they see that, something's not quite right with my son or my daughter, and, do I need to fly up there and be on the ground? No, you don't. You just need to encourage that student to say, hey, wait a minute. Are you struggling with that? I bet you the university or the college has something that is designed to help you there. There's a counselor, or there's a tutor system, or there's a writing center, or there is a study group, or there's an academic advisor that you can meet with. Don't be shy, just encourage them. Now, it's also a wonderful time for parents to watch and encourage their young person to grow up and to mature and to take ownership. My wife and I, we've gone, well, as I said, I've had 7. I only have 1 left at home. The rest are out. But it's this idea that, we have this obligation as parents to help our kids succeed because they're only, 12 years old and 13 years old. And how do they take all of that? But it's a process as they grow and mature that they take more and more of that ownership of those decisions, of seeking out, to actually asking the university, I'm struggling with writing a paper. Is there anybody that can help me? Absolutely. For them to be able to ask, but the parent to say to the student, hey, go and ask. You've got a faculty advisor. You've got an academic advisor. There's a student success center. I know about it because they told that to me as a parent in orientation. So I know it exists. So you as a student now seek it out. So in that way, you're a cheerleader. You're cheering them on to go and find that success.
I do want to ask both Jediah and Dominique this question because I think it's very important that we hear it from the young people. I'll ask you first, Dominique. During the COVID pandemic that we're still experiencing, how did it affect you personally as a student athlete? What were their challenges?
Oh, it hit me hard. I am definitely the type of person if you don't keep me moving, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose my mind. So when COVID hit and they were like sports accounts, I was like, what? I lost it. I was like, no, this is not. It was like, wow. And then it hit. And I didn't have nothing to do with my brain. And I was just like, this. Like, I got free time. What do I do with my free time? And before COVID, I was definitely a person who liked to read a lot. And like that stopped. So it affected me. And like my good habits that I had, like a lot of good habits that I had definitely left me. Like habit of reading, going sports every day, even sports and like just being active. And then I lost that. So I lost myself in the process. So it was more or less something that just like, I couldn't like know myself. I felt like I didn't know myself and I'm like still finding myself right now. Like even with COVID it's still affecting me. It still has affected me. It's going to keep affecting me as I'm like going on. I'm still trying to like find myself again, even if I may not like find a part of myself, the part that I feel like I'm missing. Mm-hmm. In just that context, yes.
Yeah, sure. What about you, Jediah?
I mean, when COVID hit, I was kind of happy because I didn't really feel like waking up early anymore than just to go to school. I kind of just wanted to sit in my chair all day, just playing games. So, it wasn't that bad to me, really, because I can still go down the track and like practice and stuff. I can do all these stuff that I wanted, so I wasn't really affected by it too much. But when they started to bring up the vaccine, like you need the vaccine to travel, like I was irritated because how you gonna tell me I need the vaccine for me to travel and I'm forced to get it? Like I don't like that. So it was all right for me, I guess. It wasn't too bad.
And Latisha, let me ask you, because you would have seen a number of people come through the office. How did that affect people seeking help, especially mental help?
So we'll start with a worldwide stat. So 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 people are going to have a mental health illness at some point in their life. Okay, so look at the number of us on the Cole, there's 4 people who will struggle sometime in their lifetime. During the last 2 years, because of COVID, that completely shifted. And the number went from 1 in 2 in women to 1 in 3 in males who are struggling with depression or anxiety. We're meant to be social creatures. And so this kind of forced everyone in their own bubble was really hard for people. And, speaking of Dominique, it was very typical for teens to really struggle with not having their outlets, not going to, after school programs, not going to their sports, these are all the things that, bring them joy and pleasure and burn off energy, and all of that kind of dissipated to a bit. So it was definitely overwhelming. We found our numbers went up for trainings, our numbers went up for people coming in for counseling, but we also found, which was great, we had a lot more teens to young adults coming in and saying, I need to talk to somebody, my head's kind of tight right now, or, I'm just feeling like I miss everybody, or, this can't be what my senior year was supposed to look like. And so I thought it was really great that we were seeing a lot more, teens and young adults who were like, I don't need anybody to tell me I need help. I'm just making an appointment. And so that's just really great to see that shift, but it's really had an impact for people.
Sure. And John, at the university, how did a lot of the student athletes deal with that? Or how did the students deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult. I mean, we kept obviously offering our education. It was just flipped to online. And of course, that was the big challenge for all of the faculty because, that was so brand new to them as well to offer something online. But, there was the really strong cry from the vast majority, I'd say 80% more of students to say, as soon as we can, we need to restore our face-to-face instruction and dialogue. So we've had fits and starts with it up in our government area. We've had we went into this last fall semester with everything somewhat stable. So we started with face-to-face, but we were partway through and we had to flip online. And that was I think the hardest thing was the lack of stability in the experience. It's going from face-to-face to online, then from online to face-to-face. And I'm just thankful. Our area, our government, March 14, no restrictions. Everything's gone on the 14th of March. So we're only 2 weeks away from no distancing, no masks, no vaccination checks, nothing. So I'm hoping that the COVID is in the rearview mirror, and we're going to see it further and further behind us.
Well, for Angela, obviously you talk a lot with a lot of young people as well as parents and so forth, but it's one of those things where some young people feel comfortable enough to talk to someone that they are just getting to know, and they'll reveal a lot more. So how did you find the students that you work with dealing with the effects of COVID?
Actually, what I found was that the students were relying on more gaming to get them through. So that's a big concern for me because they're doing so much gaming all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and work does not get done. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I have to be the bad cop and coach parents on how to really be more tech savvy and shut down these devices and put in boundaries. And oh my goodness, yes, it is big for this generation, but it's hurting them because the soft skills they're missing out on. And so it's a big one. And for me, another concern too is when Metaverse comes live, that is just going to change the game because right now they're spending all day. I had one young man tell me on Saturday, I'm gaming Miss Young all day Saturday and Sunday. He's M1. And he said, I may do work on Monday. I'm like, oh my gosh. But he's tired. His grades are in the 60s. And the mom just said, it is what it is. I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm dealing with that now with students. And I didn't deal with this prior to 3 years ago. But for them to cope with COVID, gaming was the outlet for them. And of course, with the girls, be on their devices, talking to their friends. Yeah.
Sure. Latisha, I have a question. Do you perhaps fear that as the island slowly returns to normal, that mental burnout will increase?
Yes and no. I think, yes, if people don't do the work of figuring out what their boundaries are. So I always talk about the fact that I work in a 24/7 field, but I still have my own personal boundaries. So between 8 and 9, I don't answer my phone for anything, for family, for friends, for work. That's when I put my kids to bed. And so I have a firm boundary that I've made for myself. And I encourage people to create boundaries for themselves, because I'm finding, for kids, they're always on. For adults, we're always on. We're not disconnecting the way we used to. And so I think it's really important that if we don't find ways to deliberately disconnect and connect back to ourselves, we're going to be burnt out. So if we can get that boundary right for us, and if we can find the way to really balance out our lives better, then no. But, just like Angela said, if you don't have that balance, it really does have consequences.
John, in your experience, because I know as an athlete, an athlete can hide a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings, a lot of things that happen outside of life of sports and education. How do you, as a coach, try to identify that someone may be going through something that you can actually address or help them kind of address?
I don't know, Earl, if it's because I had 7 kids of my own. There's very little that the guys hide that I don't see. That I don't pick up. I see just lethargy maybe at times, or I just see snappy attitudes that are out of character. And, right away, I don't deal with anything in that moment in the public. I just say to the guy, hey, come on over here. We'll go outside the training center, and then I'll just say, hey, what's going on? What's nigging at you, and what's happening? Do you need to, we've got all kinds of help here, and I'll direct them that way. So, I'd like to say a lot of coaches can be perceptive, but I know some aren't, or many aren't. But it's hard for my guys to hide stuff that they're struggling with. I can see it, and I try to connect them as quickly as I can to the sports that they need, because I am not a certified counselor in any way, and that's one thing we tell all of our staff. If you have a student, the best thing that you can do is just be ears. Don't prescribe anything. Don't give them a course of action. That's not where we're at. We're not trained counselors, but we have trained counselor staff. And so that's how you need to connect these students to the right people who are the professionals who know how then to really unpack what's going on for that student.
Sure. And before we go, I just want Angela and Latisha, some tools that you can give parents when they start to see their young person showing different, I guess, attitude or different just body language of how it could be addressed. Because I think having the right tools, as John has said, you don't want to prescribe something, that you don't want to be that person if you're not trained. But if you identify that your young person is doing something a little different because you're around them all the time, you then need some tips on how you can address it. So from your experience with kids, Angela, what tips would you give to the parent to seek help?
For me, the first thing I have the parents do, and I don't want to go into too much details because that's why I have my workshops, but I will say this, I have my parents to have those open conversations with their child and look at what they're struggling with. Case in point with Cameron, for her, it was her planner was too small. She couldn't put everything in. So I created a planner for her. We also at BHS, they were saying, you should have a binder for every subject. Well, that didn't work for her either because it was too much. Her bag was, as she put it, 400 pounds. And, I had the wheelie backpack. That didn't work either. So I had to create little old me, a one-day binder system to get her through. So those types of things, and also implementing systems in the bedroom as far as filing systems, things like that, to help them get through, and just basically managing their time and managing the workload. And more importantly, just helping parents realize, breathe. We got a long journey ahead. It's going to be okay.
And Latisha, from the EAP side, what advice would you give?
So a couple of thoughts. One, I always say you have to build a relationship before you need to cash in. It's the same thing as a bank. You can't make withdrawals when you don't have any deposits. And so we need to constantly be making emotional deposits into the relationship with our children. So when we have to have those difficult and hard conversations, we have that availability to pull it out. And I know lots of situations where people will say, hey, I'd probably talk to anyone except my parents about what's going on. And so recognizing that we need to grow that in advance. But the other thing is we don't have to be everything for our children, so being able to get in touch with their extended village. Are they more likely to talk to a godma? Are they more likely to talk to a coach? Are they more likely to talk to a friend? And checking in with their village and seeing, hey, what's going on? May I know, maybe I don't know something that you know, but are they good? And the third thing that's really important is recognizing that depression and anxiety look completely different in children than it does in adults. When we think of depression, we often think of that person who's laying in their bed, not brushing their teeth, not getting a bath. But actually for teens, most especially, it manifests itself as irritability and anger. And so if you're looking for someone who's crying in the bathroom and you're like, well, why is this boy like snappy all this time? And, he doesn't want to talk to me. He could also be depressed, but that's how it manifests in teens. So it's really important to know that distinction, to know what we're looking for. So I always say, watch those behavioral cues and get help. There's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, hey, this is above what I can do. Where's a counselor around here? Where's a psychologist? Can I check in with their school counselor? Can I get counseling at EAP? There's so many options. There are psychologists just for children, whatever it looks like. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. There is nothing wrong with that. And in fact, we always say the sooner, the better, because the recovery is so much smoother.
Sure. I see a question about a sports psychologist. I know of one, Martin Wolf. He's actually in the education system as well. Mm-hmm. But I can't remember the school he's at, but yeah, he's a sports psychologist on the island. Mm-hmm. And he's been working with the Bermuda Football Association, the Bermuda Cricket Board. He's doing private as well. So yeah, if anyone, I'll try to get his contact information and get it out for you to disseminate. So, yeah. One
thing I would mention before we wrap up is even the way that sports and mental health can play together. We had a sports organization, I won't name, but they reached out to us last year and actually said, hey, we have some young guys. We're worried about some of them. We want to get them support. Counseling's expensive out in the world. And so actually they, as an organization, joined EAP as a company so that they could offer it to their players. And I thought that was amazing. It was the first time we'd ever partnered with an organization like that, a club like that. But they were like, hey, we want to give them access. And so that's exactly something that we were always willing to partner with. It was a trial program. It's worked really well. And it's just given them the support that they need. So, you don't have to be a company to join EAP. You have to be an organization.
I'm laughing because, Nate, you're to do this. Well, personally, I want to thank each and every one of you, especially the three young people who have expressed honesty and that's what we want in order to get help, to see that there's other pathways to success. I'm glad that you guys had the opportunity to come on tonight and share, and hopefully you take away something that someone has said to address and help you in your progression. As we move forward. I'll turn it back over to Nathan now to give us our closing.
And I thank you so much. This was a fantastic conversation tonight. I thank you, each and every one of the attendees first. And I thank you, Dominique, for your honesty and openness. Now, I'll just let everyone know I teach Dominique. She sits in my class, and So from the start, I said, I really need her to be a part of this conversation because, not to put it like that, but I don't want to bring out all of the Rhodes Scholar students who are running marathons, and we want to bring students who are really experiencing the challenge of balancing academics and athletics. Jediah, thank you so much for joining this conversation as well. I know he's a Cedar Bridge student. I don't teach him, but I came across him and said, yeah, that's going to be great. And I thank you for your contribution, you and your mother. Adrian, in his absence, he did message me and say, hey, this is the whole balancing your time. He said, hey, Mr. Deal, if it's possible, can I please leave early? If I would have said no, he would have stayed. But I said, no, this is exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, you put in your time, you manage your time, and you go and do, whatever assignment or whatever else you're trying to do. To you, my friend, Latisha, thank you so much for joining this conversation. As you were excited and you said this is needed, and I just remember her being so passionate about joining this, and what I said to Earl, what we hope to make into sort of a regular thing, whether it's annual, whatever the case may be. I think this conversation needs to be resounding amongst the community, the sports community, for a long time. To Angela Young, thank you so much for your contribution. We have finally gotten to work together so we could cross that box off of our checklist, and it was a pleasure truly working with you, and we look forward to forging a stronger relationship, and we hope that your services, I know it came to my attention through your link with North Village, but I would encourage anybody to reach out to you as a resource and a tool. This is what you do. This is what you do. So I do want to note for the record that, the resources are available to you. Go to Angela. If she's not able to help you herself, she will let you know where you can go. To my new friend, John Ohauser, who is partnering with us. He is officially a member of Bermuda Boxing Federation as of last night or Monday night when he came to the island. I thank him for his contribution. And to you, Earl, I thank you. You were phenomenal. We appreciate that. We will work with Earl. I'm just going to put it there to work with Earl to share this broadcast. Really quickly, Earl, is this something that we can get uploaded through your platforms, which are much more?
Sure, it's a simple one.
That's a done deal. So we will make this rebroadcast available through Island Stats or our social media platforms, as well as the Bermuda Boxing platforms. I don't want to ignore the presence of Peter Dunn, the president of the Bermuda Olympic Association. I know he would not want me to do this, but then Melissa's going to message me and say protocol formalities, please make sure. But thank you, Peter, for being a part of this. And we have 60 seconds, but if you wanted to, I guess I'm going to hand it over to you to close it out, Peter. I think we was having challenges in unmuting people.
No, sorry. I thank David. I don't mean to step into your neighborhood. This is it's been a great program. I just messaged Latisha about something else, so I've got a solution that I've been looking for within the BOA. Great athlete stories. There's so much that's positive that's going on out of this area, and I think it's really wonderful, and it rings true not just for the younger athletes, but older and our elite athletes. You guys have touched every important button on this tonight. So I'm really thrilled, and having just, I've solved the problem already by being a part of this program. So I thank you, Nate, for putting it all together, and for everyone who's participated. I seriously have solved a major issue that I have, and thanks to that. And unfortunately, Latisha is going to help me solve it or work through it in the next couple of days. But thank you very much for doing this. It's been real valuable for everybody.
Thank you. And finally, thank you to Melissa, our right-hand TAC person, our everything, our person behind the scenes. Without her and my executive, this would not be possible. And finally, this event was made possible with the support of the Department of Youth and Sport. They were in the call last night, made so deal, but I thank you to the Department of Youth and Sport for your keen support. So thank you, everybody. Good night. You know how to contact Bermuda Boxing on our social media or Facebook or Instagram, but do get in contact with us if you would like to revisit this conversation or get contact details for anybody included in this call. Thank you and good night.